It's a little.
Take a chair.
Why don't you guys turn this way?
Heck yeah, tell us a story.
Yeah, we're going to tell you a story. Actually, today we're going to do our original presenter kind of fell through. We're only going to grab these chairs. So we were a little not prepared. So we're going to
Hey, go back.
Hey, we're giving away cash today, so you can bear with us a little bit.
I feel like the Bartles and James.
But I drank before I got home.
Yeah, me too.
If I seem a little out of sorts today, I apologize. I had a lot of trouble sleeping last night. BJ's wife kept stealing the cover. I got cold.
She hadn't done that in a long time.
Well, I'm done. We'll start off with, I guess we're starting off. One thing that's new is we're going to start, we got a new form of payment that I don't think's been introduced in the industry just yet. We're going to start taking eggs as a form of payment. So you can use a down payment of a dozen eggs. We started a dozen, we don't go with half dozens or anything. All right. This was supposed to be and still can be, how do I use this thing? So we're going to ask you guys if you have any questions. We don't really have any demonstration because there's a million different variations of every camper out there. So does anybody have any kind of questions or issues or thoughts or anything on it? Yes, sir.
Why does the awning go out sometimes and sometimes it don't? And one time last year I had it out and didn't want to go back in.
Just not coming in at all or not coming?
One time it did not come at all when we got the camping site, and a friend of mine took our adjustable winch and cranked it back in manually.
So yours has, it's electric, I assume?
Yeah, it's Class C.
Okay, Class C. How old is it?
24 years old.
Okay, does it have a Dometic awning? A Dometic, do you know what brand of awning is on it?
No.
Okay, that would be the first thing. Dometic had some issues with some awning motors in the last 5 or 6 years, where they don't get enough power. Now, something that's kind of cool that a company came out with this year is, what does your switch look like? Just a normal awning switch on the wall? Okay, there's a switch that they came out with that has a capacity. It's got some kind of magic to it. I don't know the details yet, but they're about $60 and they double the power to your awning. And all it is a switch. That's all you got to do. A replacement switch. And that would be something maybe that you would look into. Maybe it's just not getting enough power. If it's one of those that, had issues, they never did fail 100%. They just rolled real slow. And I mean, I'm sure everybody knows here that every awning in here, every power awning in here has a window motor in it. That's where they come from. The gearbox and everything to them is a little different, but
The slide out did the same thing.
well, maybe you've got a weak breaker.
It's, the more you're saying, I mean, you definitely would focus around an electrical.
Yeah, I got
Your
a
first
Class C.
question, your first question, what could cause an awning not to come out or go in? There's a variety of things, whether it be electrical related, motor related, switch related, or it could be binding or something with the hardware in trouble. But if you've got a slide room doing the same thing, you've probably got something going on.
Well, sometimes it'll go out, and then it might take 4 or 5 times before it will go out. And I didn't know if I could grease the tracks once it's out. Last year I put WD-40 on them, and I don't know if that helps or not.
Now yours doesn't have the tracks on the side of the room with the little, okay, so you can grease it any way you want to. It's got the underneath slider. One issue that it has nothing to do with your Class C, but an issue that we run into in the past, Keystone didn't put a large enough 12-volt circuit breaker in the system, and they're a self-setting circuit breaker. So when it gets heat, it kicks out. And then in just a matter of seconds, it connects again, it gets hot again and kicks out. So if you're having an intermittent issue like that, I would look into that $7 12-volt DC circuit breaker. That would be something that, and all you got to do there is make you up a little bypass, a little loop to go from one post to the other on the circuit breaker, and I can show you back there exactly what they look like. I can't tell you where it's at on yours, but just make you a little loop to go from one post to the other. It's basically a self-resetting fuse is what it is. So you bypass that, and if it functions perfectly, you need to know, you need to go up in amperage on that, or voltage, amperage on that circuit breaker. Real simple fix if that's what it is. But Keystone, back in the day, their slide rooms, you'd get to the point where they wouldn't operate at all.
With the Thor Class C.
Right.
But sometimes it'll go out, and then sometimes it won't, and, you know,
Yeah.
it won't stop once it's out, and
Yeah.
it just starts, it don't want to start.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a set of contacts in these little breakers, and if they're weak, they're gonna open up, you're not gonna get power to stuff, and when it closes, cools off a little bit, and closes, it's gonna go just a little bit more. But Keystone actually had a service bulletin years ago, but they had 30 amp breakers in them. They made us add an additional inline 25 amp. So they put a 30 amp breaker in it, it needed to be at least 55. And once you put in that bigger breaker, everything was fine. So that's one possible answer. Again, wouldn't be able to tell you without seeing it and that kind of thing, but that is possible.
What else? Who else has any question for us? Come on, guys, you got us here. Go ahead, sir.
The tankless hot water heaters, what's the most problems you see with them when they come back into you?
As far as seeing a lot of problems come back in, I don't know that there's been a ton of problems. The complaint, if there is one that we get, if you're a couple and you're camping and one person is using the shower and the other one is not using any water at all, we seldom get any complaints at all because the water stays hot and consistent. If you've got a trailer full of children, and while someone is taking a shower, the kids have got the water on in the sink or something of that nature. You know, if you try to use the hot water from more than one source at a time, they're
Can't
probably not
recover
going to be
quick
real
enough.
happy with the tankless. But the advantage to it is if you want a hot shower and you want to take a shower for 10, 20, 30 minutes, as long as everybody leaves all the other water fixtures alone, it'll keep making hot water as long as you want.
Now, is your question a use question, or is it like a problem with one?
We had our 6 gallon removed and had one put in. And
No.
it worked great for a while and then it quit working.
The
And
only
I was told it
mechanical,
was that control board that's inside.
the only mechanical or failure of a part on one that I've seen is there's a water flow sensor in there. It's about $9–10, not an expensive part, maybe an hour to fix, but that's really the only failure I've seen on the part side is that little water flow sensor.
I think we were all a little skeptical of the tankless when it first started, but it seems like for sure in the past couple of years they've really kind of upped the game on the.
Well, they started in the last couple of years, the technology's gotten so much better that they are great. We got it might have been 10 years ago when they first came out or whatever, 8 years ago, but Atwood at the time sent us a brand new one to try out. And we installed it in our owner's motorhome and we took it back out about a week or two later. You know, so the idea was there, they just couldn't make it function as well as they liked. And that was the deal back then. It was simply use your cold side only. I'm saying that wrong. Use the hot side only. And the more you turn it up, the colder it got. Well, to get the heat they wanted, they hardly had any flow.
Let me explain what he's saying there a little differently. So you got a tank unit like you'd have in your home. You get ready to take a shower. You turn your hot water on, and then you adjust your cold to pull it down a little bit where you want it. For your best results with your tankless, the control panel has a temperature gauge on it. Set the temperature on your controller and open your hot only. Don't try to cool it down with opening the cold as well. Control your heat with the control panel instead of adding cold. And most likely you would be happy with the results of that.
So most of it is user error, and that's why I didn't explain it very well either. It's a lot of that stuff's a mystery as far as, because we can't show you in here exactly how to do it. You know, you can't get pressure when you're doing a walkthrough, that kind of thing. So the way he described it is a very good way to go with that. What else we got?
My generator quit starting. I used to start at once a month for about 5 minutes, and then last time, several months ago, I tried to start it, and it just wouldn't turn over.
Does it crank
It's
at all, or
It cranks but will not start.
Right,
cranks but no fire?
How long is it sat?
well, again, this last summer, I haven't used it much in past few. But when I was using it, I started every month about 5, and let it run about 5 minutes, and quit it. The last time I tried to start it, one time I took the carburetor off and sprayed some gasoline in it, and my carburetor started, and it started up. But then, I didn't want to do that every time, and it run, I put it up, and it started.
What kind of generator is it? Is it own end?
Yeah,
So, and that sounds like possibly a mechanical problem or carburetor problem, or, and you can see us back there. We know of some folks in the area that would be more specialized to dig into the mechanics of that. You know, we can make some recommendations to you of where to go to get if it does need, let's say, needs a carburetor clean, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Make some recommendations.
Today's fuel goes bad in about 6 weeks. The ethanol style fuel.
you can check it out here, over here.
We would save you money to direct you elsewhere.
On something of that nature.
You know, I mean, we don't have anyone certified in generator repair. So we just don't want to spend more of your money than you need to. You need to take it to a guy that has the equipment and the background to take care of it. For our own end, that would be Cummins Crosspoint down here. But it,
I had a similar problem last summer before I took off, and I contacted some people over there.
We're gonna get Charlie on the way home.
57.
If I can get where here, Evansville.
yeah, that was Cummins right
They
down
got
here.
They got a new starter in less than 24 hours, and
Yeah, like I said, we don't want to waste your money. If you can, and that's why we don't do a whole lot of oil changes anymore. We can, absolutely, but the guys that do it every day down here that have everything on the shelf and that kind of thing is going to get you done a little bit faster. If you've got time, we can absolutely take care of it. You know, a few days to get your oil change done. If you don't need it back immediately, that kind of thing. But if you're in a hurry, we're going to direct you to some good guys that are going to take care of you fast. And like I said, they'll have everything right there on the shelf. But yours definitely sounds like if you spray fuel in it,
Yeah.
and it runs, it's either a fuel pump, it's something in a carburetor, you know, something along those lines. I'm sure it's nothing major, but again, you know, we could throw a carburetor on it thinking it's that. We could check the fuel pressure. There's a couple things we could do, but you're going to be better off going to the guys that do it every day, and probably have the parts on hand because we're going to buy the parts from them. You know, so it's just kind of. You'd be better off taking it to somebody that does it all day long. You don't want to go to a dentist for brain surgery.
What else?
Nothing wrong with dentists, but I'm just saying, you know, qualifications are.
Tell us what you all struggle with when you get to the campsite. What's something that causes trouble for you?
Or that puzzles you, or what would you do different? What would you change on your particular unit if you can? What's your pet peeve to do with your unit? Anything you can think of that you wish was designed differently, or why in the hell did they do this? They could have done that kind of thing, you know. Anything like that y'all can think
I know
of?
we've thought that before when they come in on a couple of occasions.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The backup cameras come over, so.
Possibly. Is yours the one that goes through your phone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Even had to replace it still.
It's like the government.
Yeah.
They're on that camper not because they're the best necessarily, it's because they got the best deal at that time. There is a system, and this sounds like a sales pitch, but I would love for you to buy it here, but I don't care where you buy it. If you're having a problem with your camera, Brand Motion is the brand to go with right now. They're 1080p, they're good to 300 and something feet, wireless. You can record with them. You can have up to 5 cameras with them. And they've gone down in price so much. I mean, last year even a Furion, which is a good camera, the Furions were $669 for a 7-inch screen. The Brand Motion's $445.
You guys will sell that here?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I was just saying, I don't like to try and push what I have on you, and that's why I said get it where you want to get it. But if you want a good one,
Yeah, right.
brand motions, and we've got a display back
We're
there.
gonna say, I seen it last, 2 weeks ago in here.
Yeah.
I was looking at that display.
Yeah, we've sold, we probably sold 30 or 40 of them last year.
And they just plug and play on the,
You plug into your dash,
well, I meant as far as, okay, yeah, go ahead.
and then you wire it into your existing camera. It'll go in place of any camera that's out
That was
there.
just, okay, that's what
So you don't have to change the mount or anything. Use the wire that's going to your camera back there currently.
Now, is there a transmitter you put on there also, or?
It's a transmitter you put in the dash. You know, it's a monitor.
Well, okay,
It's
so
a 7-inch
monitor.
monitor, and then it's
Oh,
wireless
okay.
to the camera. You just have to have power to the camera.
Right.
And that's what you're gonna get, you know, essentially.
90% of the time it's gonna come from the running lights.
Yeah.
Right.
But they are a real nice camera.
Also found out you had headlights on, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the camera, I think you know that already. Is this something that can be Bluetooth into your phone?
No.
Not the brand
This
motion.
is a dash mount monitor.
Right. This goes into a dash mount monitor. Yeah.
Do you have to have your lights on to run?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you want to run an actual dedicated power line, run to a switch, something along those lines. But
But it's very similar to the Furion that I've been playing.
it is. It is. It's just a little bit better features, and they're cheaper.
How big a deal is it to put some side cameras on mine?
It's not.
Change marker, most of it is, the side
Like my
cameras come in
dinosaur.
marker lights.
Yeah, so the way that would work is you'd actually have one screen, 3 pictures at the same time. So it's not a turn signal triggered camera or anything. It would be, you know, where you want them. You put them on
It
the
would
front
give
end
me
and
the
back.
same view that my mirrors do.
If you put them by your mirrors, yes. If not, no. Yeah, I mean, it's very specific. You're going to locate them where you want the best view. Most of them are kind of low front is where we've been putting them, or mid front if it's Class A. But again, they're going to be wired into, it's going to be close to your marker lights. That way it's going to get the power from those as well. But they are a very, very nice system. And there's another system that we're looking at right now that's quality is just as good. We might bring it in just because of the features that they've come out with. So it's not like we're switching and we may not even switch. We're going to add is what we're thinking of. And the nice thing about it is if you have the big screen in your vehicle now, your truck, there's integration into that possibilities.
We've had that question for years, so.
Right.
So will it communicate with the screen on the dash?
And there's some years of trucks and that it works with right now. They're working on others, but that's something that we thought was really, really neat. You know, you don't have to have a separate monitor to feed into what your vehicle already has. So that we just got introduced here probably a couple of weeks ago, so we're looking into it a little bit more. Very neat.
So the camera you're talking about, going back to, it comes with some cameras that you mount on maybe your back bumper or something like that, or?
You can mount it.
Standard.
Most of the time, it's above middle of your back wall.
Way up there.
Standard, when you buy the kit, it's gonna come with one camera that will go at the rear of your trailer. You can add, for sure, up to 2, one on each side as a kind of side marker, and it would display 3. You have one monitor, but it will be broken up to 3 screens.
Right.
And
See
that
all.
shows up all the time when you're driving and you.
Uh-huh. As
it
long
will
as
show
your
up
lights,
somewhere
headlights are
behind
on.
you.
As long as the lights are on, which is what's giving the camera power. Because they wire it right into your running lights for your power source.
Are those hard to install? No.
Not too bad.
As long as you're close to power, it's not bad at all. I think we charge an hour to install one. Even if you didn't have a camera up there currently, you know, because a lot of them come prepped and don't have the camera with them. Even if yours didn't have the prep, it's still an hour to install one, as long as you want it in a normal place where we can grab power.
Okay.
Otherwise, you gotta run power to it from a switched source. Yeah, those are really neat. So technology there is getting a lot better. That 1080p picture back there is
But
really
then
nice.
you gotta have a screen inside,
It comes with your screen.
but where do you put that at?
You just set it on your dash. Now, here's the other thing. Say you want it, I want it for when I'm camping. I want to be able to see what's going outside in my camper. Okay? And you put one by your porch or, you know, by your entrance door. And you've got the one on the rear. Okay, so you just had those two, but you want to know what's going on at night. We have power supplies, so where you can plug a power supply into your normal 110 outlet and power the monitor. So now you've got the monitor in your bedroom and you're watching what's going on outside. Now the downside to that is you've got to have your marker lights on in the camper. Now we've installed a lot of those guys, a lot of them, and the guys are saying, I don't care if it's lit up at night. A lot of people light up their campers and that kind of thing, but you got to have power to it, or you run a separate switch power source again. But we've had a couple do that this year.
As security cameras, I suppose you would say.
Here's something that just came out in the last year too. Anybody got a newer Chevrolet truck? What year's yours?
2024.
Okay, yours don't have a cigarette lighter port, does it?
No, that's it.
No, it doesn't.
That's
So
what
that's
monitor-
what this power supply that we had to bring in from the camera manufacturer. You got to plug it. You've got 110 outlet up
that
front, right?
inverter plug.
Yeah. So you got to plug it into that and then power your monitor from that. Since you don't have a, it's a $33 item, but we didn't know. Chevrolet didn't let us know that they got rid of that power port. It's kind of high.
Ain't saving $3 per vehicle.
Probably was. You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
When did they stop that? We got a 2023 and we got one.
You've got the cigarette lighter style.
Yeah, cigarette lighter.
Yeah. So 24 was the year
Yeah,
for it.
I believe it was 24. We had one this week that,
Yeah. He wasn't happy with us.
uh,
He wasn't informed that he didn't have a power port. We didn't tell him he didn't have one. I don't know what you're driving. Anyway, we got that taken care of and we gave it to him and he smiled when he left. But it was just an odd situation that, like giving a haircut over the phone. I don't know what you have in your truck, sir. But anyway, what else?
Well, I got a backside out, one from a bed, and anyway, on top of it, when it rains, it runs down the outside, and also somehow runs down inside, and it runs the length of my bed underneath it and drips on the floor. It started doing that about a year ago.
We can absolutely check it out for you. Could be as simple as a room adjustment to make sure it's centered and getting all the seals taken care of. Or maybe there's a seal or a gap in the ceiling up there. We'd be glad to look at it for you. But that's another one of them. They're all going to leak eventually from somewhere. It's just getting on as stop as you can, or as quick as you can, getting on top of it.
Driving down here, I thought about I could get it there with a piece of 12-inch seating and let it hang over, and it might prevent it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of quick fix to make sure you keep that water out of there. Something else, and this sounds like a sales pitch, but does it have a slide topper on it?
Slide topper.
As your room comes out, it's got a little awning that's.
Yeah.
So it does have one that helps. So you've got a good one there. Just be a matter of looking at it, sir, unfortunately.
Okay, but again, right now I got the side out, see if it's gonna leak.
Yeah.
But it's been leaking with the side in.
Leaks in and not out?
No, it doesn't both.
Both, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it leaks with the side in and it leaks down the side, outside, and then somehow it leaks underneath the bed, drips on the end of the bed floor.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, it'd be a good idea just to get it in here and get her checked out. What kind of Winnebago is it?
Class C, floor,
Oh, Thor, I'm sorry. Yeah, we can absolutely check it out. What year is it?
2018.
Be glad to look at it for you. Thor just recently adopted a new policy where we're not a Thor dealer. We can work on anything you want, anytime you want, that kind of thing. But Thor, we would have to go through a different dealer to get parts. So we would have to buy them from so-and-so and give you an upcharge. They gave me an upcharge. So it's never been real wonderful for the customer. Because of that, Thor just recently opened up and said, hey, we'll sell parts to anybody that needs them. So it's making it a lot easier to help the customer out there.
service for the customer.
Which we always thought was odd because Keystone Store, and we've got Keystones all over the lot. But the Thor Motorhome Division was specific and they didn't like to play with us, or anybody that wasn't a dealer. So that's helped out a little bit. What else we got?
So I know you guys sell TPMS sensors. Do you sell the ones that go inside the tire, like on a regular vehicle?
We don't.
Okay.
We use only the ones that go on the outside.
Is that better?
I
Or
don't,
does it matter?
it's better in terms of maintenance and that
Okay.
kind of thing, because you can change those C1032 batteries in a minute.
Versus
Having to
breaking the
dismount the
tire
tire down.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's an advantage or disadvantage. I do know if you go with the ones that attach on the outside, you wanna make sure you've got a good quality stem in there. You don't wanna use, yeah, steel would be best, just because that rotating mass sometimes can make them leak a little bit. But yeah, I don't really have a preference on those. Tire Minder has a good set. The Lippert Tire Link is a good set, but those go to your phone. So either they're wanting us to use our phone for more and more, and that just scares the heck out of me, because if you want to use your phone for GPS, and now you've got to use it for your tire monitors as well, and you know,
Some of our brake controls.
Brake
are
controls,
through
so-
Phones now.
yeah, your backup camera, you know, on some of them. So I mean, they're just relying, making you use your phone more and more. So I kind of like I don't want it to look like the space shuttle up there, but I kind of like having individual
Dedicated screen.
systems.
Do you
Rather
sell a system with a dedicated screen for TPMS for a trailer?
I don't know if we've got any back. We just went to a show early February, and we have a ton of stuff on order, and I know we have some coming in, the Tire
Okay.
Minder systems, and it's maybe a 3.5, 4-inch monitor, but it tells you temperature, pressure. It tells you within milliseconds that you've got one going down. It's a nice system, and it's not real expensive. Tire Minder sold to AP Products, I think. I don't remember, but so the pricing came down a little bit on them, and that's why we're bringing them back. The Tire Link that we had from Lippert was a great system, but the phone kind of got people away from it. They didn't want to use their phone, and that's why we're bringing these back in. But we should probably have them in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. So
We got 3 or 4 companies that we're still waiting on drop ships from, and that happens to be one of them.
Okay, and then second part of that, I'm bringing our camper in, I think Monday morning with you guys. You guys are doing tires and a bunch of other stuff too. On that stem, you said have a good stem. Is that something I need to specify with you guys, like put a steel stem or whatever you were saying?
We can
before
absolutely
that?
do that for you. I think
Okay.
it's $6 more per, you know, but then you've got a good stem forever, whether you get them or not.
Okay, so I do need to specify.
Yeah.
Okay,
That would be a
I may get with you guys in after.
Yeah, we can
Just
write that down.
update it just so we don't forget.
Yeah, I mean, and that, like I said, that's a good deal, whether you're
Right.
going to use them or not. I always like the little aluminum and stainless.
I'll update it as soon as I get back.
Do you remember it?
Yep.
Do you? Very good. I like it.
I'll add it on there to make sure we do that.
Thank you, sir.
You bet.
What else we got?
Is there an age range on vehicles on the tire pressure monitor? Okay, and then what's the price range on
I think I believe, I don't remember the show pricing at this point, but I think you'll get a 4 pack kit, sensors, monitors, everything for around $229.
it? Okay, that would take care of the dual axle on the back.
You would have to order 2 more sensors.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, but I think it's good up to 12 sensors, I think, is what the monitor's good for, so you can add
4
up.
on the back, so that would be a total of 6 sensors.
Right. Yep, the system will accept it. It's just, we can order them in 4s or 6s. We didn't bring in the 6s because we're not a Class C dealer anymore, and they just, but again, 90% of what's in our catalog back there, 1 business day with no shipping, we can get this. So,
So that's of interest to me,
right. Yeah, Tire Minder is the brand on
tire monitor.
it.
So it will be in at some point in the spring to take care of the camera.
Yeah, we can put them on at that point.
Except if I could replace just one camera if it wasn't obsolete.
Yeah.
It won't work. I've already checked it.
Yours wouldn't. Seeing that's the other thing, Furion has now 3 series.
I think I was in the first one.
Yeah, and they're up to series 3 now, and none of them are backwards compatible, so
camera,
you've got to
yeah,
get a whole
it
new.
just died of old age.
Yeah.
So,
So you have to get a new, complete new system if it's a Furion.
another question I had was with my Blue Ox. I checked the lighting on the tire lid. and everything is just fine. I checked the lighting, turn signals, brakes, and so on my Jeep. Everything is just fine. But when I plug it in, my left turn signal and light does not work on the Jeep. Works just fine on the Toyota. And it's with that. Is
Would that be a bulb and socket kit?
a wiring problem or a contact problem?
She's saying it's working, both of them are working separately with this. She's hooking up.
But see, you've got two separate sockets. You've got a specific socket for your tow bar lighting in the Jeep. Okay, so it's a bulb and socket kit. So you can hit your brakes on your Jeep when it's not hooked up.
Well, I check it with the turn signal.
Okay, so you can hit your turn signal on your Jeep when it's not hooked up and it works great. Well, that's not the one that lights up when you're hooked up to your motorhome. It's a totally specific socket that we
Well,
put
the
in there.
motorhome works just fine when the Jeep's not hooked up too.
What does?
Both of them work independently when they're not connected.
Right, but you
It's a
have
different
4 light bulbs.
It's a different light.
So
bulb.
your Jeep came with these, okay, from the factory. When we did your tow setup, we added another one. So when your Jeep lights work unhooked, that's your factory stuff working wonderful. So when you're hooked up, it's this one that should be activated, and it's probably just a light bulb in that new socket that we
Okay, so
have.
I need to bring it out and have it looked
Yeah,
at.
so you have an isolated system for towing that's totally separate from any of your Jeep
Is it
wiring.
possible to just bring the Jeep out and get that light bulb looked at?
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as taking your cover off, you 4 screws on your cover and put the bulb in just like anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's an isolated system that we put in that has nothing to do with your Jeep wiring, and that's why when you're checking the Jeep out, your Jeep lights are working fine. It's your tow light that we added that feeds off of the motorhome that the bulb is
Well,
back.
I figured as long as I had one tail light, I was legal to that.
Right. But
Of
yeah,
course,
that,
trying to turn left was a little bit of a problem.
yeah, just keep making rights till you get where you need to be.
Just go in a circle until I
You're gonna get there
Thank you.
eventually.
There eventually.
Nobody want to be in a hurry. You know what I mean? What else we got, guys? Yes, one more.
I got 2018 Tahoe with 4,000 miles on them. Are they good for another 2-3 years?
I'd say no.
No?
I mean, automotive tires are different than trailer tires.
Well, these are Class C, they came with it.
Right, that's what I mean. But a trailer tire, 2 or 3 years, I'm taking mine off. Period, no matter how much I've driven it. And that's because most of the tires come from China now. Goodyear Endurance and the G14 Goodyear all steel tire, those are the only American-made trailer tires around. And that's what we have expertise on, but I'm not gonna run, you don't have any idea how much stuff's gonna tear up if you blow one of those.
I'm talking about Class C.
Right,
Okay.
right, yeah, I mean, it's gonna tear up a lot of stuff. It's not just gonna be the tire when it goes, and I don't trust them.
We'll make recommendations on tires. We know that that is a weak link on these things. And your Class C is a little different animal, but not completely different.
Right.
And there's a lot of times, we can check dates on the tires. It's printed right on the sidewall of the tire when it was manufactured. And we'll make recommendations, and a lot of times we'll get, well, I haven't pulled it that much. And we have rebuilt a lot of trailers that haven't been pulled that much where they've left tires on. And it's not the miles down the road that it's time.
It's the evaporation of the oil in the tires is what they always told me. Time will take care of that, probably more than travel. I mean, I would say, your mileage doesn't have a whole lot to do with it when you're talking a trailer tire. Now, Hankook or whoever tire you may have may be an American made, and they may tell you different. But again, our expertise is in towable units, so. But I personally wouldn't. I don't trust tires that long on any vehicle that I have. And that's just because I would say next to awning damage, that's probably number 2 repair that we have to
How many years
make.
would trust pilot on a Class C?
Yeah.
How many years would you trust?
Again, 3 or 4.
5.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I know tires are expensive, and I know 6 tires are gonna be even more expensive, but it's a very, very small amount to the hassle of where are you, okay. When you're traveling, 9 times 10, are you gonna break down next to a tire shop? Or are you gonna be out here on the interstate somewhere where you're waiting 2 hours for somebody to come and help you? You know, I mean, it's gonna run more than the damage. It's gonna run your vacation, your trip, you know what I mean? It's just one of those simple things that you can take care of and just prevent. I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be some money, but I'm gonna do this because I don't want that hassle.
And you got it here, or you can do it.
We can absolutely do it for you.
Class C.
As long as it's not a 20-inch tire on Class C, we can still get them and do it for you, yeah. Our machine only goes up to 16, I believe, so if you're under that, we should be able to do it. We'll get you folks. But that's just, again, it's the number 2, I would say, repair that we have to do every year is based on tire blowouts. And it can do as little as a fender skirt, or, I mean, it's thousands. We've had them come to bust through the flooring, take out furnaces, water heaters.
Have to throw the tread up through the floor.
What brand?
As far as towables, it won't work for you, but Goodyear Endurance and the Goodyear GS14,
You're,
yeah, they're the only, and I don't know, again, outside of a towable unit, I don't know what I would recommend on a Class C or drivable unit, but in a towable fifth wheel travel trailer, Goodyear Endurance is the only way to go. It's the only American-made trailer tire out there. They're the only ones.
So I could get some of those and put them on my utility trailer?
Yep.
Okay. But Mr. T won't work out.
No. You wouldn't want that.
Too big?
Well, it's just not the right
It's not
tire.
designed for, you're gonna go more with something like a light truck tire on your Tioga versus a trailer tire.
And that's
Oh,
where.
no, but I was wondering if you carried tires that would work on the Tioga, but.
No, but I mean, again, it's one day, and most of the time those I get same day. So if we know you're coming, I'll have them before noon most of the time.
I need to look at it.
It would be something other than a Goodyear Endurance if we were
Goodyear.
doing it on.
Yeah.
I think it's a Michelin that's on there.
Michelin is hard to beat.
On automotives.
Yes, they are hard to beat. But that, again, that's just one of those things. You're never gonna be fortunate enough to break down right next to the tire shop,
Because I try to make sure that's not gonna happen, because I'm by myself and that thing's bigger than I am.
and it's going to disrupt your trip, period. Well, that's something we always recommend is getting those tires. It's very important to check your tires. What else we got, guys? And again, we are not experts in any of this. It's just based on,
But not much.
yeah, it's just based on historical facts, what we've seen,
Yeah.
you know. And there's a lot of people here that got a lot of years here that know, and that's, you know, just for an example, should I leave my camper plugged in all the time when I'm at home? You might say yes, and I'm gonna say no, because I sell converters. You know what I mean? I know how many converters are out there that are plugged in year-round and operating 9 months that they don't have to be to keep that battery charged. You know what I mean? So it's based on a lot of opinion, but a lot of history as well. Yes, sir.
The waistline that goes in that bumper in the back, get harder and harder to take in and out. Is there something you put inside that tube to make it slide in and out easier?
I don't think so, and that's simply because the tolerances on these hoses are so tight anyway. I don't know that you couldn't put something like a little bit of something silicone based or Teflon based, just but then everything's gonna be kind of slimy when you put it in and out. I don't know of a good fix for that. I know a lot of people have added,
Tubes under.
yeah, that's what I
I've
was
seen a
saying.
lot of PVC tubes added underneath the trailer in a bigger diameter. And there's no room for play in those rear bumpers on that sewer hose.
Yeah, you can actually get a PVC 5-inch, 4-inch PVC pipe, put a cap on each end if you want, so you can pull from either side or whatever.
We're seeing a
And
lot.
strap it under there. People are doing that a lot. They actually make a kit for that, but it's pretty expensive for what
Yeah,
it
and
is.
it's Schedule 40 drain pipe.
That's all it is.
That's what it is.
That's all it is. But yeah, as far as I know, there's not a good way to do it. You need to lube it up, I guess, a little bit somehow, but
We've seen them get stuck in there, and I mean, it destroys, there's a point that they get to where you can't do anything but destroy the hose.
yeah, when you do finally pull it out, half of it's stuck and you know, the old hoses with the wire in it still and all that stays? And- That's a good question. Yes, sir.
That problem you're talking about that, I took a grinder and ground the ears down a little bit
Oh, that's a good idea.
where it slide in.
On the
20
sewer
inches.
hose kit itself?
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
little, whatever you call it, anyway.
Yep.
I
Like
ground
on
it
those
down.
rhinos, they're supposed to be radius on the corners to fit inside there. That's a good idea. Just kind of grind them off a little bit.
And it won't hurt, it still hooks up the same way.
Yeah, don't take too
It's
much.
just easier to get in and out.
Yeah.
And
16th
I
inch
also
on each
took
one of
a
them.
piece of paracord and tied it around the collar, let it hang out, pull your cap off, pull that block, and it comes right out.
Good call. Very good idea.
MacGyver.
When you're on a trailer, you have to be, right?
All right, so we came up with something else. Does anybody else have any questions real quick before we go on? And we can keep talking all day long, but we came up with something that might be a little bit fun for the last 15 minutes or so. We got some trivia, and we're going to give away little money.
Yeah.
Just something fun to do. And again, we weren't prepared for a whole lot today, so again, when Marissa kept me up last night, I came up with this list. Marissa's BJ's wife still. For now. Not real sure how
Hope you're
long.
not watching, honey.
But I'm still there for you, buddy. You just keep that in mind. So anyway, the way we're gonna do it is if BJ asks the question, I'm gonna point to who had their hand up first. And if they get the answer right, we're gonna hand you $10. If I'm gonna ask the question, he'll watch for who's got the answers. So everybody else is up here. Which one you wanna go first?
You go first on asking the question. I'll watch for hands here.
Okay. So, who here knows their lug nut torque spec?
100.
What kind of wheel you got? Aluminum or?
Aluminum.
Okay. Is it a 13 to 15 or a 16?
I think 15, I'm not sure.
Okay, then you'd be right. It's 95 to 100 foot-pounds from an aluminum wheel, 13 inch to 15 inch. So just for the record, if you have a 1/2 inch stud on a steel wheel, whether it be 5 on 4.5, 5 lug on 4.5 pattern, or 6 on 5.5 on a steel wheel, it's actually 100 to 120 foot-pounds. On a 1/2 inch stud on a 16 with a 6 lug 5.5, it's the same, 100 to 120. If you've got a 9/16 stud, which is a lot of your big fifth wheels,
Fifth wheels there, 8
Yeah.
lug.
yep, 8 on 6.5, it would actually be 140 to 170 foot-pounds to torque that thing. So if you've got an aluminum wheel, 13 to 15, all patterns with a 1/2 inch stud are 95 to 100 pounds. 16 inch wheel with a 5 inch stud would be 100 to 125 pounds. So it's critical, again, back to the tire damage and that kind of thing, to know the correct torque specs. Now, I owe you $10.
I tell you what, I won last time, I was here, so the next person gets 20.
Okay, we'll do that. Appreciate that. Somebody else will too.
Nice.
If they get it wrong, I get it. All right, this is part 2 of the same question. How often should you check your lug nuts?
This is an easy answer.
Every time.
Every
time.
trip.
What's that?
Before every trip, every time. So before you leave on a trip, that is one of your points of inspection, is to make sure you're doing that. And do your tire pressure as well. That rocking chair is coming early. There you go, sir. You got a question?
The aluminum wheels are more prone to loosening up, the aluminum wheels.
Yeah, the aluminum wheel will do that. That's probably why they have a little bit higher specs on those one, bigger ones too. But absolutely, every trip, you should do that. Just make that a pattern. Just every time before you leave, check your lug nuts and check your air pressure. Make sure you're good to go. All right, BJ?
All right. Who can tell us what the oldest national park is in the United States?
Yellowstone.
It says, this says Grant designated Yellowstone as the first national park give extra if they can guess the year?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Does anyone know the year that it was?
Don't be looking at your phones.
1890.
You're close.
You're close.
1872
Give it to the next guy.
All right.
I didn't want.
was that marked the beginning of the national park system, not only in America but around the world.
You can take my
Who knows
Yep.
what the normal, most common ball size is for a travel trailer?
Okay. Well, I'll see you in a bit.
Hitch
Hitch
ball.
All right. Bye.
Who knows what size is most common on these travel trailers?
2 and 8.
No, we're gonna have to ask you to leave.
Go
We
ahead.
appreciate you coming in
June
and getting that wrong.
5/16.
Yep.
The
we got
reason
that.
that we put the gentleman in the orange shirt there, the
Okay.
reason that we put that question on there, guys, it is scary the times that we went out when we've got a service appointment. We've
Uh-huh.
got someone bringing a trailer in, and we'll go out there sometimes and they've drug that thing in on a 2-inch ball. Which it don't matter what you close that coupler and stick through that hole, it'll come off. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
We've seen them come in without a pin in the hitch.
yes.
That's a true story. So all they have is,
And there's so little clearance that it held it.
Yeah.
You know, with the weight on it, but yeah.
pretty crazy.
All
Go
right.
ahead with the next one if you want.
Who knows what the recommended water pressure is if you're on city water? So what do you want? What do you want going in your trailer? How much pressure?
City water 60.
Is that in a camper?
In a normal travel trailer, most of them recommend 45 to 55. But I mean, you know, it's
I don't believe you're going to have trouble at 60.
no, not at all.
But
No, okay. The next guy, so the next one will be $20 as well. Yeah, and you don't have to have the most expensive. We've got a regulator back there that's adjustable that we could sell you if you wanted. It's $40, $50, but it doesn't take that to get you where you need to be. A standard regulator, unless you're running a triple filter system on the outside and a filter at the sink or something, and drinking water filter in there, you will just a normal $12 regulator will be
So on
fine.
the camper, they recommend 45 to
45 to 55.
for camper.
Mhm.
You're not with city water, it's like 60.
Right, and that's why you need that regulator to bring it down to. Not necessarily what your city water is, like most of your pumps are only 45 to 55 as well. Most of them.
It depends where you're at too, the city.
Yeah,
We're better, you know.
yeah,
No,
well,
that's
no,
what
we're
we're
not saying what the city water pressure is, we're saying what's good for
what
your
does it need
camper.
to be regulated down to keep
So that's why you need it. Really.
That's why you need a
plumbing
regulator.
problems with it. Because you get some of these places, for instance, my home, I've got incredible water pressure and it's great for just about everything. But it would not be great to hook a camper to it and throw that water over it and blow the plumbing apart. So,
And that's, I've got a good example for that. They've evidently got something going on in Toyota this week, Monday of this week. A guy came in and said that he had portable restroom trailers. So it might be just a flat, I don't know, enclosed, whatever, but it's got several toilets in it. So maybe they're doing something special outside or whatever, but he hooked up to Toyota's outside water system was over 100 pounds of pressure. 100 pounds at Toyota, and he said all his water valves were spitting everywhere, and
if you don't have a leak, you will shorten.
yeah. So he came in and he bought 2 water pressure regulators, but that's what he ran into up there, so it was kind of crazy. Okay, if you come to a site that has
Full.
full hookup, where should your valves be on your waste system?
So you're hooked to, got your sewer hose hooked, you've got sewer at the site.
Right side.
No, where should the valves be? Open and closed, halfway, one open, closed?
Close.
I believe Sue was the winner.
She probably.
I want mine closed,
Okay.
black tank especially.
Yep. And the reason for that is you
Do not
open your
put
valve and
solids
leave it
in
open.
there Without
That stuff's
liquid.
just gonna trickle out. The waste is gonna trickle out, the solids are gonna stay in that tank, and a lot of times they'll pyramid. When that stuff dries, We've had to replace tanks before because we could not get the dookie out. That is no joke. And what you do is you leave, even though they're gray, you could leave open all the time if you wanted. But what we recommend is you leave both of them closed, let the dookie build up, flush the dookie, then use your gray to take care of your hose and everything after you've got rid of that
Once
stuff.
you dump it, go to your toilet and let some water run back into that tank while it's closed. These questions that we're asking you,
You're welcome.
these are things that we face every day in service and parts, you know, I mean, this is,
Yeah, it's things we should know.
well, and it's, we hate that there's calls that come in like, hey, I can't get my toilet flush and my black tank full. We have a lot of folks that when we start questioning them and find out they were to site on a full hookup, and their thought is, well, if we're on full hookup, jerk those T-handles open and just let it all
We won't
run
have to
down.
mess with it.
Right, and they don't have to drain, but it can, as it says, cause a pyramid in your black tank and lead to some
It's a nightmare.
pretty expensive problems.
It is.
Also, let me ask you this, would you recommend going ahead and adding the additives to your tank? You know, if you full hook up, plus your black tank, you want to add it back in there then?
Yes.
I would personally.
That's why I was thinking,
You do?
Well, no, it depends on, are you done camping?
no,
Yeah, then absolutely.
yeah, just go ahead and add it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
If
You take
got-
the next one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If you got some build up in your black tank, you know what you could do to, hey, I might have some in it, how can I get rid of it?
Best thing that I'm sure you're gonna say too, there's a product back there called New Gin.
Gin and
Uh-huh. It's a tissue digester, deodorizer, drain valve lubricant, everything all in one. And he mentioned ice, and that's what I was gonna
extreme
say.
conditions, ice.
So you would put that New Gin in it, put 2 gallons of water on top of it, and then go straight to your toilet and dump in a bag of ice.
Because it,
And then boom, tow it. And those chunks of ice break up a lot of that stuff until, of course,
it'll melt and then it'll drain out.
But that New Gin, you can get specific products for tissue digestion and stuff. Thetford makes one. There's nothing I've found better than New Gin. In 23 years, that's probably the product that I have the most confidence in this building. It's a little bit more expensive than the other chemicals, but it's because it works, plain and simple. Everybody that's used it, I've never had one complaint on it, and I've had a ton of people. We carry the gallons back there like $80. People come in and buy the gallon when they're used it. But man, it's good. It knocks out everything. Odors. The only thing is, it's supposed to be 2 ounces to a 40-gallon tank. Just like most of the rest of them, if it's hotter than just say 80 degrees, it says it on the bottle, you have to double it up. But I mean, as far as keeping a tank clean and actually doing what it says on the bottle, that's probably the product in the store that I have a lot of confidence in, most confidence in.
So in the winter months when we have folks bring units in for service, one question that we ask everybody, has your trailer been winterized? And a lot of times we'll get an answer of, yes, I blew it out. And anyone tell us what the risk is of just blowing it out?
You have tracks and you have different angles depending on where it's parked, and the water can accumulate in there and freeze.
Yes.
And then you have a problem unless you have flex pipe, and you may still have a problem, and grass fitting. And most people don't travel trailers put it that way.
Big area that will get you. You got a check valve in your water pump. And when you blow that system out, you're blowing the wrong direction to blow that air out of that pump.
So it stops at the pump. You've got an in and an out on the pump. When you're blowing it out, you're on the pressure side of the pump, which means it goes in and goes straight to the system and bypasses the pump, and you're not getting a thing in that water pump.
So you can run into a ruined water pump often with just blowing them out. If we were a little further south, that's it's a little more forgiving, but right here, especially this winter, you'll get a
This one got us on a lot of
It
products.
is. We had a
It's
lot of stuff this year.
One of the worst winters as far as campers freezing up, and I don't know if it's because they waited too long or if they tried it themselves and didn't get it, or I always recommend if you're not gonna bring it here, antifreeze is on the high side, $4.99 a gallon, okay? And you are set up somewhere and you don't wanna bring your camper to anybody to get it winterized. Go get you 10 gallons. You're talking $50. Pour it in your holding tank, your freshwater tank, and then run your pump. It's a waste, absolutely, but it's cheaper than a pump.
And the reason you have to use so much in doing that way is your water.
You've got a
heat.
6-gallon water heater in there that you got to get full before it comes out to the rest of the.
Now, the way we
But
do
I
it
mean-
here, we bypass that water heater, but his point is
Plug out.
$50 in antifreeze is a whole lot cheaper than bringing it to us.
Than a repair.
Start doing plumbing repairs.
You don't want to move it, but then you have to move it to bring it in to get repaired anyway most of the time. Part of the time. And yours has probably got a lot of copper lines in it rather than PEX. Copper is not forgiving.
Well, mine's got flex and it's got brass because our dear friend replumbed the whole thing.
Okay. Okay, but
When
your
I had my
older Class
bathroom
Cs and
remodeled.
such, a
Yeah.
lot of them will have that CPVC.
I've
Well,
got,
there's no
I've got
fittings.
flex pipe and brass fittings throughout.
Yeah, there's no fittings that'll work with that old CPVC except shark bites. And shark bites are great. We use them day in and day out. That's not a problem. But there's a lot of people I ain't using that shark bite. They don't trust them. That's your only option unless if you've got that CPVC.
After I drain the low points, I can do the whole thing on a gallon.
Yeah, most of the time you can. If you
Go around one at a time and make sure the pink stuff is coming out. And then I pour the other half down the traps.
But again, the reason I brought that up is an emergency situation.
Pump,
Put a bunch in that water tank and just go each faucet until you see the pink. And, all right, where we at? Oh, okay.
And leave the
How-
plug out of the water tank.
Pardon me?
Leave the plug out of your hot water. So that
Oh, the water heater? Yeah.
residual-
If it's bypassed though, it won't be a problem, but yes, you're right, exactly right. Go ahead and take that as part of the winterization. Anyway, when we remove the anode rod or the water heater plug, just lay it right there inside the water heater door. How often is it recommended to service your trailer axle?
The what?
Your trailer axle, how often is it recommended that you service it, do a service and inspection?
Bearings, backing plate.
Yeah, repack the
brakes.
bearings, that kind of thing.
Who knows how often that's right.
I'd say every season, look at it.
Are you asking for miles or
Miles or year, whatever.
It is a one or the other.
like 3,000 to 5,000 miles? A little
It's
high.
actually, we'll just pass this on to the next person if that's all right with everybody, but it's actually every 12 months,
12 or 12.
every 12,000
months.
miles. And that's every axle brand that we know of, Alco, Dexter, Lippert. They want those bearings and they don't want them just looked at, they want them repacked and inspected. And I think it's a great idea, even, and it's a year, it's a time thing or a mileage thing. But I think along the lines of they're not putting the absolute best grease you can get in there like we are the marine type stuff, the green and tacky Lucas,
Green and
which
tacky
is pretty much the best. It's pretty much the best grease you can put in there. And we are tearing them down and we're hand packing them. A lot of people see that they have those easy grease axles that you can grease from the outside.
Buddy,
Thank you. Yeah, bearing buddies. That's for every now and then if you want to put half a pump in them.
That's a hair above nothing. That's a hair better than nothing at all.
Yeah, because you can actually hydro the seal out of the back of it.
Right.
We've seen people just
What does that cost roughly for a single axle?
single axle.
axle is under 4. I'll look it up when we get done here. 3 something, but when we get done, follow me back there. We'll look it up and I'll tell you
But
exactly what.
that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you say every 12,000 miles
or a year.
12 months.
on one year?
Whichever
1 year.
comes first.
And along with that though, you're getting your brakes are tore down completely and adjusted.
Clean.
Yeah, everything is clean. Your magnets checked.
Yeah.
You know, everything is checked along with that repack when you get that done. That's just part of it. We're in there, so there's no way we're not gonna replace a $9 seal. You know what I mean? So you're,
It's getting a good set of eyes on your suspension system too. I mean,
well, as far as that goes, your tires,
yeah,
you know, 'cause, yeah.
these roads are not necessarily helpful on the suspension systems under these things.
And you would never hear anybody recommend not doing that. But if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not gonna do that every year, do it the first year. Right off the bat, you're getting a great inspection on everything. You're getting the grease replaced with the best there is. You're getting a new seal, and you're getting the inspection when it's fresh. So, and then, you know, if you decide on your own that you want to do it every 2 or something instead, because you're not driving it much, I don't think the time is near as critical on axle grease and that, because especially if you're not using it often, that kind of thing, I don't think it's near as critical as the tire situation time-wise, but yeah, get it done that first time and wait an additional year if you don't want to do it. But if you're approaching that 12,000 miles, absolutely do it every year.
What would happen, maybe lock up or something like that?
Well, it's a good idea. Things break all the time. Everything works wonderful until it doesn't. So, I mean, you could have a bearing failure or a bearing failing that would be caught that second year. You know what I mean? We'd see where the races wore, the bearing's starting to lock up, and it's going to save you a spindle having to be replaced or a complete axle when you're out traveling. So it's more peace of mind that second year or every year when you're doing that, just to make sure that the part's not failing. These things don't have German bearings in them. You know, a German bearing lasts forever, pretty much is what they've always told me. Again, you know, they're
As far as risk of not doing, worst case scenario would be fire. You know, I mean, seizing the bearing itself and to the point of get enough heat, hopefully for a fire.
So yeah, that's the kicker there. And again, it's not gonna happen next to an axle repair.
How often do you check the seals on these things, guys?
There you go, that's what we're
There
talking about,
we
there
But-
you go.
But I thought every 3 months on your
3 months is 90
windows
days
and
roughly.
your, huh?
3 months is 90 days roughly.
Oh, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, you guys stop talking here.
You're gonna get to the point where you're gonna have hearing aids when they do that.
You are a teacher, you know this. You know how many times you told me to shut up?
I can hear.
She was my gym teacher in 4th grade.
Yeah, look at him, there he
She
sits
did
there,
good,
right
didn't she?
there, he's even got no hair and gray hair
You did.
now. I can remember when he was about 8 years old, a shadow of his
Now, she
presence.
can tell us all kinds of,
She probably
stories on it
could.
now.
She probably could. When BJ said, or when the gentleman says 90 days, that's definitely absolute bare minimum roof. The roof membrane on here is a lot thicker than you think. You can wear it down to where it's no longer white even, and still have a good roof. It's a pretty thick membrane. The only thing that's going to hurt the roof is an impact. I've never seen one fail on its own. So you get up there, what does fail, and I bet you there's 3 in here right now that probably have a crack on the lap seal that goes around your cuttings. That's what you've got to watch. Because expansion, contraction, heat, cold, they're going to open up.
They're sitting out in the elements, and water hits down there in the winter and freezes and then thaws. It's just.
How do you feel about those talks that goes over? But I don't know if I like those or not, because it seems like the wind is always kind of blowing things around.
You got to get a cover and not a tarp. I'd say if it's going to be they are a pain in the butt to install. If it's going to sit all winter, you got to put it on once a year. Absolutely, get one. And if you get a good cover, the Hydro RV cover from ADCO is the only place you can't buy it online. You have to get it from an RV store, and it is the best cover for the money that you can get. You can have a cover made to your specs. Well, the way these are, they come with cinch straps, so it might be from 26 foot 1 inch to 29 feet. And that's, you know, they're soft. They don't hurt your camper as long as you install them right. If you install them and everything's loose and flopping around and all that stuff, it's going to cause abrasions on your camper. It sure will. that this is the best cover you can get. And every year, about August, late August, early September, we have them almost a third off. We buy a truckload and we have them almost a third off from when we bring them in until January 1st. So winter storage, I absolutely recommend one. If you went back there today, you're paying $200 more than you should in order one. And that's simply why we don't carry them. We cannot compete unless we buy that truckload. And we can't have a truckload sitting around.
So that's not my business.
Late August, September, we always put it on Facebook and generally announce it. Sometimes it goes out via email. But anytime you can keep the UV rays off that roof, do it. Absolutely. You don't want to use a tarp because a tarp will beat the heck out of it. And we've actually seen people that have tarped them down that have had to replace roofs because of it, because where it wraps around and they use those bungee clips or bungee rope. Help me out here. I'm having a brain fart. I thought about there. Bungee ropes or bungee cords. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I can't get words. Cords. Shit. I was dehydrated. So anyway, bungee cords will actually eat into the rubber roof membrane. It will do that when you use an actual, like one of the old blue tarps. These do not do that. They cinch from several points on the side. The covers do. They have three zippered panels on the side. So no matter where your door is, you can get in and check your camper with the cover on there. They've got open areas on top along the roof edge for air to escape. But the top itself is really, really hydrophobic. It really keeps the water out. So you can get other covers. Atco makes a ton of them. This one's called the Hydro because it repels water the best out of all those covers. One more quick question. Who's got a travel trailer?
Say it again, please.
Travel trailer? Who has a travel trailer? Okay. Can you back up with the weight distribution hitch on? Not always.
Well, okay, maybe not always, but
The reason we throw that out, go ahead.
I know these sway bar, I just think of a sway bar. But my,
So how many of you have seen the weight distribution hitches with you'll have your regular 2 5/16 ball that your trailer sits on, and then to the side of that you'll have a smaller ball. You've seen those, right. And on the side of your A-frame you'll have a smaller ball. That is for your sway bar to go on. If you've got a setup like that, and you back up with that, there's a good chance you're going to spring that sway bar and bend it.
So it's called a bolt-on sway is what it is. And most of the time, it works in conjunction with a chain-style weight distribution.
Now, a lot of weight distribution hitches that we're seeing now, Equalizer, Blue Ox, a number of brands. Your sway and your weight distribution is all done through the bars themselves, and you don't have that extra.
You can back up all day long as long as you have rigid frame brackets.
mine is like that, where it has the separate, sway bar that, bolts on, or not bolts on,
Goes over.
That pins on?
pins on, yeah.
Okay, if that's your style, you should not.
Right, I don't, I
Yeah.
disconnect it when I'm backing up.
Yeah, that's what
I
this
even-
question was about, just to inform people.
Wake them out of my, at home, when I leave, I don't even put it on until I get to a parking lot someplace.
Yeah,
to
straighten
find it. I
out.
make a lot of sharp turns getting out of my driveway, so.
Yep, yes, sir.
Well, we have the one that we got here where goes on the edge,
Goes on those L brackets.
bars on it. We can back up.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And the reason for that is,
Timbuktu.
we've had people take their sway control, their bolt-on sway control home themselves and hook it up. If you don't put the frame mounted ball in the right spot distance-wise, and you've got it too short, that thing can only collapse. It can only go in so far. So if you're making a turn and that second ball's not in the right space, something is bending.
Right.
Yeah, we've seen them back in the day when we used Reese hitches. We've seen them break that ear off that has the ball on it on the hitch. We've seen a ton of different things happen on those. But yeah, that was kind of a trick question. It was you can on some and you can't on others. But if you have chain style, whether it's the Blue Ox, because the Blue Ox has a chain style, but they also have an L bracket style. Any chain style, that has a secondary pin-on sway control. You do not want
Equinox,
to
I
do
believe the Equinox hitches are built, you can back up. That one that's got that separate sway bar that pins on the ball.
that.
Save yourself the aggravation, take it off before you try to back up.
Anybody else have any more questions? We're out of questions. Well, I guess we'll split this. By lunch or something. Me and you will.
I think we probably ought to give it to Marissa.
Oh, that poor girl learned it, I'm telling you.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
When you're talking about the traps, water traps, I'm used to, residential, we got a P-trap, or an S-trap. What kind of traps are on these?
Same in a lot of times, and they also have trapless.
Yeah, I think mine's more of a trapless, because I mean, if you look at the sink, and even the tub shower, it's not a trap,
It should be a pipe about that big,
yeah,
ribbed,
right.
and that long maybe. It's got a bladder in it.
But, okay, so that's
So
what
it
I'm
allows it to go down but not come back up.
Okay.
So yeah, those are a lot of showers and stuff, and a lot of fifth wheels are that way because they
Sure.
have the room.
Right.
But
Well, I
yeah,
assumed it didn't work, but I
Yeah.
just curious to make sure.
yep.
That's kind of why it says to disconnect it before you put a snake in it or something.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You'll tear that bladder and then you'll start getting
And this is a
odors.
prime time to tell you, and hopefully you know, but if I hadn't have ever had this problem, I would have thought of this. Don't put drain on these things.
Right.
It's happened. There's folks that do it, and they just don't know.
Don't know, it's really good.
Yeah, that is not a good plan.
All right, guys, I guess if there are no more questions, that'll conclude today's adventure. We appreciate you coming in, and again, it might not have been, how do I use this thing, but we tried to make it a little bit educational. Yes, gotta have fun. That's the whole point of camping.
Most of the guys that sit down the road.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.